top German politicians and academics have been speaking out in favor of Taiwan. Does this signal a greater support for Taiwan in the incoming German administration? Well, today to speak with me about this is German political scientist based here in Taiwan at Danjiang University, Reinhard Biedermann. It's so good to have you here with me today.
Thank you for having me here, Natalie.
So we've seen that actually the spokesman for the Social Democrats, which is the leading party in the German election, actually spoke out this week in support of Taiwan, saying that the Taiwanese should be able to determine their own future, that Taiwan is an important partner for Taiwan, especially in semiconductors. Do you think that this signals that we will see a more pro-Taiwan administration when they form their administration?
Social Democrats actually, they do not have made a very strong position concerning to protect or support Taiwan. There are other parties in the potential government, namely the Greens and the Liberals, that spoke much stronger out in favor of Taiwan. However, what I think is that overall the long-term foreign policy of Germany since some 30 years always has been the assumption of change through trade. And this change through trade assumption was supported by the Social Democrats, but also by the Conservatives. By the Social Democrats because it reminds us about the 1970s East politic, that when we do more trade with the Soviet Union and its allies, then this will lead to a change in the Soviet Union and in its behavior to the West. And the Conservatives always assume that change through trade is a very good, let's say, excuse for doing more business. So the two major big governmental parties in the last 30 years both supported change through trade. And I think that will change no matter which government will be in power after the conclusions are made. I think that the Social Democrats are particularly concerned about that we do not have change through trade, that the human rights situation in China is going in an opposite direction and not as the Social Democrats would like to see. And from a conservative position, the point is more that the economic relations between Europe, Germany and China are not developing in a way as they wish they should be. So from both bigger parties in the government, we have a new assessment of China. But we should not forget the smaller parties, especially the Liberals and the Greens, which have a stronger supporting role for Taiwan since a few years.
Well, I know you've been watching German-Taiwan ties closely. What do you see for upcoming German-Taiwan ties in, let's say, the coming year or so?
This is a very difficult question because there are too many variables we can hardly overlook right now. It depends, everything depends on China, how China reacts, whether China is increasing its aggressions. So when China is increasing its aggressions, is more often sending airplanes into the Arctic and so on, then I think the German-European statements will become stronger. It is also possible in the middle run that, for instance, Germany, and the European Union enact some sort of economic sanctions in some fields. I won't exclude it from right now, but for Germany, Taiwan is very important also from an economic perspective, of course. It's not only the trade balance we have. I think the EU and Taiwan trade between 50 and 60 billion euro per year. But it's also that Taiwan is very important in certain key sectors, especially when it comes to semiconductors. Our German car industries now, they do not have enough semiconductors anymore, so we urgently need semiconductors from Taiwan. So Taiwan is also geo-economically important for Germany and for the EU. And this, of course, also increases, let's say, the stakes for Germany and for the EU to support Taiwan stronger than in the past.
Do you think that Germany would assist in any way to help deter China from threatening Taiwan?
Well, that's a very difficult question. Germany has no hard security involvement in the South China Sea. So Germany is involved with the European Union in the ASEAN Regional Forum. It is involved in certain projects about non-traditional security, like anti-terrorism and those kind of things. But Germany and the European Union as such don't have any major ships or military involvement in the South China Sea. The UK a little bit and France a little bit, but this is incomparable to the United States presence. So from that point of view, there won't be any sort of military deterrence coming from the European Union or from Germany. However, there may be political tools and economic tools, and those tools are partly now also in the making to protect Taiwan. And actually, that is also interesting. Germany and Europe actually also want to learn from Taiwan, because Taiwan is, of course, in a very dominant position to defend its democracy against Chinese political aggressions in terms of disinformation, in terms of cyber espionage, in terms of cyber attacks. And Europe and Germany are affected, of course, by similar attacks. And we believe that Taiwan really has quite much experience in fighting off those attacks. So we can also learn from Taiwan. And I think this is also one aspect that shows that the value of Taiwan is also increasing for Europeans.
Well, it's great to see that you were pointing this out many years ago. And that the EU and Germany is awakening more and more to the importance of Taiwan and showing their support for Taiwan. Thank you so much. I've been speaking with Reinhard Biedermann, a German political scientist at Danjiang University.
Thank you for having me here.